Yeah, sorry. Slight technical issues. Slight. But we're set up. I just need to turn on the music and we're gonna get started. I will say today should be a lot shorter than the previous one because actually most of the weapons are not changing places. I just thought, there are enough differences to warrant that I clarify that there's a difference between early game and late game tier list. So yeah, but I mean, overall, if you use an early game tier list for the late game tier list, like 90% of it's probably good enough. Oh, we're gonna make the same mistake as last time, where I don't select all of the songs and then I just play one and it ends right after playing once. Ooh. Right. Yeah, I say we just get started because I mean, format's gonna be the same as last time. We're gonna start off with these special weapons that are not easy to come by. And then later on, we're just gonna go on and go to the regular weapons that you see right here. So, okay, coming down here, um, when this thing updates. Okay, cool. So, technically, this tier list is meant for the flagship normal ending, which is why I didn't go ahead and add any of the chaos weapons still. And Nexus, late true ending guns and all that. But for the most part, if you really do want a chaos tier list, like most of them, um, let me just clarify now. In case you're here for the chaos weapons, batteries strong, big iron is strong. How do I? Hmm. Yeah, let me just do a mini ranking down here. So, hmm, charge force is fine. Embers, okay. This one is meh. That's meh. This one low-key cooks. Why charge? Hmm. No, Chaos never misses like really good. Oh no, Nightshade is just broken. We don't talk about that. This one's a side grade, right? Promotion bomb is really funny, but yeah. Then Chaos Gun is broken. Strawberry is just strawberry. Hang on, actually. I mean, Chaos Strawberry is literally situational. If you can protect it, you win. Um, Sukiya is still useless. Toxic Pot is actually usable. Sus Bomb is always decent. Cool. Okay, so in case you came here for the chaos weapons, most of them are basically the base version but better. I'm just gonna name a couple of exceptions real quick. Sukiyaki doesn't change; it's still like very garbage. Karis is arguably questionably worse, I would say. Last I recall, it's like really slow for some reason. Then Chamber changing time is not a big deal. It's Blaster dealing 1 damage. This one I consider a nerf, to be honest. Like, actually, no. Yeah, there we go. Light Charger, I would say, is actually worse than the base version. Because base version, what makes it really good is that it's 2 power for up to 5 shots. This is 3 to 5, which is like, it's still good, don't get me wrong. It's just like, it doesn't have that specialty anymore. It's basically like a more accurate flag tree, if you will. Toxic Pulse is actually usable because they triple the amount of projectiles, thank goodness. Big Suck Bomb is at least doesn't take missiles, so it's pretty decent as just a tack on anything. Promotion Bomb is niche because you can't solve all fights with your crew if you don't have Teleporter. Mod Charge depends on the modules. I think some are insane, some are just meh. Ember's effects is just kind of not that great. It does basically the same thing as the base version for disabling systems. Sus Bombs, I think not much changes about that. Charge Frost spawns the Frostman, which is nice but not a big deal. Pharaoh is sometimes a side grade, sometimes an upgrade. Not worth, like, not something to go crazy over. Strawberry, if you protect it, you win. If you can't, it's gonna be rough. Never Miss is actually really good. It's like, if you're using a laser flak build, 3 power for 6 damage is like, it's Harbinger 1 on, not Harbinger, it's Purifier 1 on steroids. Gungnir is basically locks down enemy weapons forever, I think. So that's kind of insane. Shotgun, 3 power for 12 shots. Yeah. And considering, like, right now we're talking about a late game tier list, so this thing, 1 shot, all shields are gone. Insane. Obsidian, 1 shot anyway, fight's over. Battery, 3 power, that's crazy. Nightshade is actually kind of insane. The only reason why it's not on like original Big Ion tier is because it takes time to charge. But then again, if you fire Chaotic Nightshade, fight's over. Big Ion's Big Ion, it's still broken. Gun? Is it? Because I thought I think they're both good, that's for sure. But I thought the Chaotic version is like, it's just better for consistently keeping you safe. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here you go. So it hits 1 room, where it hacks it for 11 seconds. I mean, the enemy basically does not get to fire their weapons if you use this. That's why I consider this really good. Yeah, in terms of fun factor, I agree. Base Gungnir is a lot more funny because you can just swipe 4 or 5 systems and hack all of them at once. But power-wise, it might actually be Chaotic Gungnir taking the win. This is functionally a permanent hack on enemy weapons, unless they have some sort of ballistic that fires faster than 6 seconds. Because by the time you shoot this, their weapons are hacked for 11 seconds. After the hack ends, you're only like 6 seconds away from firing Gungnir again. So they just never get to fire it. It's honestly really strong for that. But yeah. Anyway, that's just a quick side note about the Chaos weapons. Now back to the original other special weapons. I don't believe much has changed, except I did move most of the old weapons down here because they really do not hold up well. Because from early to late game, you have a lot more chances to find decent weapons. You're not forced to rely on an old Artemis, for example. Like, old Artemis may be barely passable, like an old burst one, barely passable early on just to be able to help you get by. But when you have more options, they just become quite redundant, I guess. There's there's not much reason to use them. The others are about the same. I suppose if you really wanted to argue Corbin into niche, I wouldn't mind, but I think there's just way better and safer options to crew kill, because this still takes 2 power, which is quite a hefty demand. More hack is more fun, I do agree. Yeah, yeah, all weapons generally get sold quite quick, with the exception of Burst 2. All Burst 2, again, it's still 2 power 3 shots, so functionally it has the same shield breaking power as a Burst 2, so that's why it's up there. All the other old weapons are just either they have low accuracy or the shot efficiency is just, well, hang on, they all have bad accuracy, but on top of that, their shot efficiency is also not good, so that's why they're all down here. Like 2 power 2 shots is quite dubious once you get past the early game, unless it's something like Firestarter and Frost, which actually have bonus effects to them, but we'll get into that later on. Niche, Plasmas are down here in niche because it's early game. I think it's a bit more acceptable because you're at the point where Plasma can relatively quickly take down shields by itself. And when I say relatively quickly, I mean it's still like because why is Plasma 2 here? Oh no, Plasma 2 is here because of the Capital Ruins event. That's why it's here. Right, I forgot. The other Aether weapons you can't, like the other tier 2 or higher Aether weapons, you just can't get outside of Crab Bucket, so that's why I didn't include them. But anyways, back to Plasmas. Yeah, late game is a lot harder to make them synergize with other weapons. They're not totally useless, but I just haven't found a situation where I would use them over other weapons, for example. What else is here? Episode moved up from F tier to niche. You can turn this into a pretty insane flagship phase 1 crew kill tool, whereby, because when phase 1 boards you, they board you with 3 guys at the start, then they send another 4 people to the teleporter. So from here you can just hit 3 of those guys and 1 other random person, then they're just gonna go into chaos. So it actually can save you from boarding troubles and also help you to crew kill phase 1 faster. Well, not so much faster, but just the fact that you can crew kill phase 1 allows you to just smash it to pieces in phase 2, phase 3 unobstructed. The rest of this is basically the same, I think. Like, you have the ones that are protecting you from, that help you if your anti-boarding is bad. Then you have the system damages, which are just pretty inefficient for what they do. Catalyst is okay, maybe I should have put Catalyst down here. If Speedum, I don't think I put Speedum that low. Speedum and Catalyst are on the same tier, D. But yeah, it's still not that great compared to everything else we have. Shard falls off more so than the other mine launchers because in early game, Shard allows you to just pierce 2 shields, which basically means piercing every shield on the enemy, and you can use it to hull rush. Late game, that's not really a thing anymore, and you see, I think I knocked some of the mine launchers down because hull rushing is not as viable in late game. Short of like using onslaught, then you can hull rush, but the normal mine launchers are just either they take too much power or take too long to kill the enemy, and in that case you much rather system damage every single time. Plasma is potential. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Catalyst. Like, I'm never excited when I get a Catalyst. Okay, what else changed? Going on from niche to D tier. Oh yeah, by the way, in case anyone watches this and the icons are too small, don't worry, I'm gonna make a Google Docs version where I list down every weapon in every tier, so you can see that. Don't worry, alright. It's a bit hard to cram everything to a tier list and still show it on stream at the same time. So yeah, if I don't got knocked down, it's really bad. You'll see the same with the base piercing beam. The the benefit of piercing two shields is like pretty much void in late game because outside of that shield pierce, it's very inefficient. My launchers I mentioned already. You can't really hull rush unless you're using onslaught. Adaptive phaser moves up. You can build around it. It's just harder to do so. Changer, yeah, I guess it's basically the same as Changer. Pharaoh still takes too long, in my opinion. Um, oh, I think the rest of these are mostly the same. Yeah, moving on. Oh yeah, no, hang on. We actually did move up a bunch of these low tier weapons. Burst 4 toggle flag, actually usable because they are slow, yes, that's why they're in C tier. But at least they do the job of just slamming down all enemy shields, you know. This is because Burst 4 got that nice buff. I think it got cooldown reduced from 21 seconds to 18 seconds. I really appreciate that. That's pretty nice, I have to say. And of course, toggle flag, you can turn it into ion toggle flag and you absolutely just rip shields. So they're definitely usable late game. It's an impressive barrage, what are you talking about? Maybe like, I remember I buffed it to 10 shots in my balance add-on. I don't know, that was a funny idea. This one I was a bit skeptical. I wanted to leave it in D tier. But at the same time, like, I am pretty sure it's decently fast and it does decent. It's not like a regular Vulcan. So it's a bit dubious. I would put it borderline C, low D or high D. But yeah, at least you can let it spin up in late game. Elite Chain Tunnel surprisingly decent because it's a missile, so if you somehow lose all your weapons except 3 power, at least this thing can kind of save you with how fast it fires. Still not my first preference on missile, obviously, as you can see by the fact it's in C tier. Bedazzler moves up because if you save this gun for the very few fights left at the end of the game, like if you keep this until flagship, it's actually got really good shot efficiency. Just make sure you've got enough scrap to fund this. I think the others are the same. Or maybe PS2 moved up because the long cooldown is not as big of an issue. Let's see. Oh, Sword Launcher got nuked. I think it was like A tier in early game. I moved it down to C tier because it's kind of the same issue as the Pierce Beam. The shield pierce is really not as big of a deal anymore. And 2 power for 2 shots is not a good ratio. Especially because this one has a radius and the flagship's artilleries are all 2x1 rooms, which means it's going to be very hard for Salt to deal damage to those rooms. Yeah, you can think of it that way. Like, I do like it has that devastating crew damage potential, but yeah, the radius and all is just too much, in my opinion. Now, I think these two moved up. Oh no, this one stayed. This one moved up. For what it's worth, you can use these as, because when I talk about late game, I'm not just talking about the flagship. This is not just flagship weapon tier list, by the way. This is a tier list for late game weapons, which means when you get past the early game, and I defined early game as the point at which you can safely run away from every enemy and just make it to the flagship. That's how I define getting past the early game. And so late game is now at the point where you need to defeat more late game enemies, which is like sector 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, to give you enough scrap to defeat the flagship. So there's a mix of just weapons that are good at helping you survive, but also weapons that actually can sustainably kill enemy ships. So keep that in mind. And with all that said, why these two are pretty decent is because they are effectively ballistic launchers that don't use ammo. So if you have a barrage like double Hermes and this clone horde launcher, if you use the Hermes to make the fight safe, you can eventually just chip the enemy down without using missiles, using the clone launcher. Same with the recycler mine launcher. So that's why they're up here, because of the sustainability purpose. Yes, oh no, this shouldn't be as long because most of the placements are staying the same, or at least roughly in the vicinity. We should be able to finish this section off pretty quickly. I don't expect there to be that many changes. Going on to B tier, all burst 2 stays. Chain flag obsidian, I think I move these up because they're protected a lot better in late game. That allows them to just do their job better. Though chain flag's like near the end of B tier, I guess. Don't think anything else changed here. Oh, core moved up from C to B because in late game you can actually afford to use weapons that core has good synergy with, whereas in early game you can't really use high power weapons because the long cooldown would get you smacked, whereas you can do it in the late game, so naturally core would go up as well. And A tier we have I know, like not all of the, some are genuinely bad, but that is the rough idea. The ones that actually do something decent, they are probably gonna move up a tier. And some of the ones, like notably, you remember early game had a lot of 1 power weapons in the C tier, like the 1 power 1 shot weapons, a lot of those move down. So it is a move up, move down. There are things moving up and there are things moving down. It's not just high power weapons moving up and that's the end of the story. So yeah, there's more than just moving weapons up. Anyways, Tesla, I think I moved it from B to A because I can self-stack, I guess, and late game the 17-second cooldown is not so bad. Elite Chainsaw, low-key Chainsaw is very underrated in my opinion. 2 power in late game means that it's very well protected, and it spins up to a speed at which you can just obliterate enemy systems. Even if you lose all of your weapons except that 2 power Chainsaw, it can wind up and smack the enemy. Also fantastic for crew killing the flagship. I really like it for that. Rest are the same, I think. Okay, hang on. Okay, I should move V2 to S tier because like late game you have a lot more power to allocate to breaking shields. So having 2 power for 4 damage in 12 seconds is a very insane ratio. That's basically the same as the charge to Rebel Root, for example. So I think it's fair. Just I put it in A tier early game because if you put 2 power into that, then you don't have as much power going into shield breaking. And if you do, that means you either already had a very strong offensive start or you had to invest a lot into your weapon system. Like take for example, if you had a 4 power weapon system, you had a Flag 2 Heavy 2 in early game. Flag 2 means against 3 shield enemies, if 1 shot misses, your Heavy 2 is nullified. But late game, when you have 7, 8 weapon power, you have like 5 to 6 weapon power just for breaking shields, and that's more than enough to get Heavy 2 through. So yeah, I think it's fair to move Heavy 2 up here. Sorry, forgot to move Newer Crystal down. The obligatory like the questionable the questionable fast 1 power crystal weapon, which is not so great anymore once enemies have more than 2 shields because you can't just auto fire it. What else changed? No, I think most of these stayed the same. Yeah, all around fantastic weapons. Nothing to complain. S tier, I did move Strawberry up here because again, the cooldowns a lot more manageable late on, and you're basically pumping 6 damage into an enemy system with this, and it only has a 50% chance to use missiles. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, right. It has a 50% chance to use missiles because of the recycler. I got it right first time. Whoops. Gatling is obviously up here as well. You can protect it much better. Slot gun, same reason. if you can protect it well, 3 power for 7 shots is a ridiculous ratio, same for Dinesh. So yeah, I guess not saying that these are the worst weapons, but just to show, like, these are definitely some of the biggest winners going from early game to late game just because you can protect them better. And as for the rest, I think they stayed the same. Yes. Okay, Equalizer is... I kind of see why it's a bit weird, but let me explain my thinking. So, here's the thing. Equalizer in early game, it is good, no doubt. I'm pretty sure I put it in S tier. If I didn't put it in S tier, I'm sorry, it should be in S tier for early game. But in late game, I think it's even better for two reasons. One, the 7 iron damage will come in a lot more useful because you can knock down 4 shields with that. Early game, it's, yeah, you knock down all shields, you don't get to use the full potential of the 7 iron. But notably, in late game, Equalizer, the thing with Equalizer is it's not preemptive, unlike Big Iron and Pre-Iron. So while you are waiting for Equalizer to charge, if I'm not mistaken, it has a 15-second charge time. You can get shot in weapons for that. So your other weapons could be lost while that happens. So it doesn't just win you the game by itself, like Big Iron Payload and Energy Missile, which I'm pretty sure were my S+ tiers for early game. But in late game, like, just knocking off 4 shields for 0 power, yeah, I think that kind of needs a nerf. Kind of. Though, it's a bit hard, I guess, because Pre-Iron, I think Pre-Iron does 5 iron damage. Now, if you nerf Equalizer to be 6 iron damage, then Pre-Iron just gonna be usually better than Equalizer, so... Okay, hang on. Clarification. A Dinesh is very easy to get if you do not find Turban in Sector 4. Turban Sector 4 boss is very, very scary. It's something I skip sometimes. Coalition Cruiser is absolutely no joke in Sector 4. I mean, after that point, like Sector 6 onwards, I agree, it's really good for a globally visible beacon that you can just find anywhere on the map. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't go rushing for Turban in Sector 4 unless you're sure you can take on the fight. What does Mantis Root Bomb do? Good question, we'll pull it up right now. But it's basically bomb launcher, but it's even faster, and I think it does more crew damage, if I'm not mistaken. Let me turn this on. Okay, here. 1 power... Sorry, yeah. 1 less second of cooldown, 15 more crew damage, 20% more fire chance. So it basically, you just took Small Bomb, which is already a fantastic weapon, and you just gave it even better stats. So yeah, I don't think this should be a surprise. Cool. We already talked about Big Iron and Payload, and arguably Energy Missile, but you guys kept saying that it's too rare, so fine, it can stay down here. I don't mind. Anyways, okay, let me turn off that in-game display. Cool, so now we're moving on to the standard weapons. Now, it is mostly gonna be a repeat, so for things where there are not many, for tiers where there are not many differences, I'm gonna go through them quicker, just so we don't get too stuck up on time. So, F tier, your F tier essentials have not changed, though the only thing that's changed is that since I have to reset the tier list by dragging everything down, like, it's gonna be a lot harder to find what I need. This is gonna be painful. Oh gosh, okay. I mean, I think you can already predict the same. The FT essentials, Rancier, Flash, Pierce Torch, Particle Beam, basically all of the beams. Oh wait, no, hang on. No, Vogue is still here. Vogue is, yeah. Then Vulcan still here. The Rad Beeps still here. Did I miss something? I missed the bombs, alright. TRC bombs. Gasoline bomb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 11. Cool. Okay, so I think these were all already in the F tier, like in the early game tier list. The one thing I'm gonna add to the F tier is actually deployment bomb, because by the time you reach late game, repair should not be an issue. So this thing's ability to save you is very not valuable anymore, I would say. It's just, yeah, it falls off late game. Early game, there are some ships that would like to have it as a random find. Late game, I can't imagine any ship wanting to put this in a weapon slot that takes up an offensive weapon, you know. Yeah, that's F tier. Ooh, there's a lot of weapons in the niche tier. So, wow, there's more weapons in the niche tier than in the S tier. Okay. So we're just gonna have to slam a lot of these out. So, first up, honorable mention to all of the beams. Well, all of the 4 power beams. Sarisa, Glaive, and Gwendanda, and Kamayari. Okay, actually all of the Yaoi beams ended up here. So we'll just drag them all up. As soon as I find... There we go. Cool. Late game, I think niche fits their definition very well, because you can do beam one-shot tricks by, you know, hacking shields, halberd with glaive, slice, and enemy instantly dies and all. But yeah, it's still not the preferred option, because that means you're using hacking on shields every single fight, and the fact that they're long cooldown means if you get hacking weapons, it could be very rough. It could be a long time before you get to fire these. But they're not completely unplayable like early game, so into the niche category they go. Congratulations. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I missed Kamayari. Let me find it. Yeah, these big beams are still worse than good old halberd. Funnily enough. Cool. The more you think about bioweapons, the more you see high risk, high reward. Yeah, it's like, it's not so bad if they're unpowered on your power bar and your 3 other weapons can actually just carry the fight for you normally. But if this is on your power bar and you're actively using it, then it's like, this is 2 power that could have gone to system damage. So that's always the big issue with these 2 specifically. And this is 3 power, so maybe this is even worse. I don't know. Anyways, the new additions to niche, I'll drag down from the high tiers. We mentioned Pierce Beam already in the special weapons area. Now we're gonna bring it here in the standard weapon area as well. So yeah, 2 shield pierces means basically nothing when your damage efficiency is horrendous, by the way. Because it deals at most 1 damage to a room, and the beam is slow, I'm pretty sure. So I think even Pike and Scythe ended up in D tier, because at least they do a lot of damage quickly. But Shield Pierce is just so unsynergetic with everything else that like I can't really justify putting it anywhere higher than niche. You use the biowebs to get the loot. Well, true. This does require a couple of things. First of all, that the rest of your offense is good enough to disable the enemy ship and keep you safe. In which case, I'd argue, do you really need the special loot? If your 3 weapons can already disable the enemy transport or Renegade Cruiser effectively enough, why don't you just add a Burst Laser 2 onto the loadout and be done with it? You know, that's how I kind of see rad weapons, especially if you buy rad weapons. You're you're investing 50 scrap into gambling to look for a Renegade or Transport Cruiser, and then you make back that scrap, kind of, later on. So it's just such a weird thing for me. I don't know. Yeah, basically that. Like, you are winning harder. You don't actually need it to win, because if you can safely disable a Renegade Cruiser, you're already fine. Yeah. Because like the only instance of a Renegade route we can think of where the fight is so easy but the route is so good is the Castro B Renegade. Like Castro B, I think is definitively the easiest Renegade fight out of all of the Renegades. But the root weapon is probably like top 5, top 10. So yes, that's one case where I would say, fine, fair enough. If you do have a anti-bio weapon, I think it makes sense. It does profit against Castro B Renegade. Because you can kill them, you can get a fantastic 2-power weapon, you can boost your offense, and that pays off. The rest of it, for the other Renegades, you already needed decent offense to be able to keep them in check before you go in for the crew kill. So at that point, it's the value that a crew kill brings is just not that impressive, I would say. Rebel transport is pretty easy. But my counter argument to the rebel transport thing is that you have to go into a rebel stronghold. If you can weather rebel stronghold with no hiccups, if one of your weapon slots is handicapped by a weapon that does no system damage, I think you're already fine. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not fun. I do agree it's fun. And sometimes if I'm hunting for route transports, I like to have a rad bomb or something to help me for the crew kill. But I do so in mind knowing that I would be fine even without the root weapon. Because my other weapons already keep me safe enough for my 4th rad weapon to go in for the crew kill. That means the route transport is not critical for me to win. That's how I see it. MKC, yeah, that's just terrible. And also Monk B, by the way. Like, you're telling me you put me through a Monk B fight just for Ion Changer. If anything, if you beat Monk B, surely they just give you Big Ion instead. Okay, we're getting sidetracked. Anyways. Oh yeah, new additions to this tier as well include basically all of the 1-power 1-shot lasers, or 1-power 1-shot lasers, or ions, or energy. Yeah, that whole bunch. Let me just find them. Yep, here you go. Defense laser. Technically I put conservative ion in D, I think. Let me check. I'll put him at C. C or D is fine. Yeah, I don't mind. But yeah, so anyways, back to the 1-power 1-shot weapons. Aside from obviously lethal, because lethal is a different case, since you can pierce shields. Now, yeah, in late game, 1-power for 1-shot is a very questionable ratio. Early game they're acceptable because just knocking out one shield can help your other big shots get through, but late game there's a lot more shields, so you just need stuff with better efficiency. And one thing I should also mention, with 1-power weapons, they're fine early game, but late game they're only really okay on 4-slot ships. Because if you have two 1 power weapons on a 4 slot chip, that's not so bad because your other weapons can still be like a flat 3 and a heavy 2, and then you're basically utilizing the entire arsenal, your entire 7 power. But if you have two 1 power weapons on a 3 weapon slot chip, then you only have one other weapon to effectively break shields because your two 1 power weapons are not good shield breakers. Don't tell me you're getting advanced flag every single run from the Union guy. So that's why 1 power, but early game this doesn't matter as much because your weapon system is already limited by the amount of scrap you can put into it anyway. So even with 3 or 2 weapon slots even, 1 power weapons are still fine. So late game you'll see 1 power weapons are not as high in S tier unless they're ballistics. Hypothetically buffing Vogue. Minus 3-second cooldown, you're bringing it from 25 to 22. 2 shield pierce, and plus cheese speed. Okay, thematically, I think the decision to give Volk 2 shield pierce, it feels weird because the other beams don't have it. But in terms of balance, I think that's a good starting point. Like sometimes I'm also back and forth about this theme versus balance thing. It's not in theme to give particle beams breach chance, for example, but maybe I don't know. That's just an example. So I wouldn't mind, to be honest. Maybe start with 1 shield pierce, because jumping from Glaive with no shield pierce to Volk with 2 shield pierce just feels strange, I guess. Absolutely cooldown nerf. That's not cooldown buff. Cooldown buff's good. 1 shield pierce. I don't know. It's still gonna be niche, of course, but it's just that in my mind it sounds so weird to see Volk jump to 2 shield pierce. Oh yeah, we talked about these already. And then I mentioned the 2 conservative iron and energy as C tier. Though they are definitely like D tier, D or even niche if you consider them in the context of. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna put them out in D tier because they are probably the worst conservative weapons left, and aside from Pelta, which Pelta's gonna show up soon. I'm put Pelta in niche, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. Sorry, Pelta's the worst conservative weapon. Yeah, at least it's a niche, not top tier. Next is energy and iron because they do 1 shot, which is just not great anymore in late game. And also they're fine on 4 weapon slot chips, but not so much so on 3 or 2 weapon slot chips. And they're actually pretty horrible on 2 weapon slot chips. Please do not use these in late game. So next. Next up, we have. Oh, hang on. I think this is just a bunch of repeats from last time, so nothing too different. A bunch of ions ended up here. Though notably, some of the ions are not that were F tier. I think can be niche, namely Ion 3 and Infinity Ion, because I don't like them. There's still a lot of power investment for something that's just not very impressive overall. But they don't just suck up your entire power bar, so that's a net positive, I guess. And Adaptive Iron should be down here as well. I just can't find it. There it is. Okay. Yeah, hopefully no surprises there. Because technically, yes, you can stack more irons in the late game. Like you have more iron weapons. The enemy also can have cloak and hack, so that's kind of rough. And not really because it's. I'm not saying that just ions get countered by hacking. Obviously, every single weapon is downgraded if the enemy hacks you. But ions are one of the worst affected classes compared to everything else, compared to just the standard volley weapons, compared to especially ballistics. Ballistics are the least vulnerable to enemies hacking your weapons or just cloaking. So yeah, the meta has just skewed towards ballistics, I guess. Were there more ions down here? I think it should be. Oh, Stunner 2. I forgot to bring Stunner 2 and Red Ion down here. Yep. Okay. Some niche bombs. We've also got. Where is it? Yep. Firebomb and Mutant Bomb. Same reasons as last time. They just serve one purpose at keeping you safe and nothing more. Same with the Spider Bomb. Spider Bomb, Rat Bomb as well. Yeah, they're pretty expected at this point. Missiles, you can just throw all your missiles at once and then the defense drone gets overwhelmed. Like, defense scramble is not as critical as people think it is. Iron weapons can be very good with beam drones. Yes, kind of. But why wouldn't I just want to volley them and like alpha strike their weapons and all? Because by the time ions finally break through shields, if you were using a laser flak build or ballistic build, you would already have dealt system damage. So in this sense, they're already weaker. Hacking over iron for beams, yeah. Hacking over any weapon, to be honest, that's just hacking, I guess. So maybe that's not fair. It is hacking after all. Yeah, next we have, I think, the same weapons here, I believe. Scorch, I think I got it down because it's not as effective in late game when enemies have more repair crew, and just the fact that it costs 1 power means it's and the steel pierce is less effective in late game for similar reasons as I talked about the shield pierce beam earlier. You can't just auto fire it anymore because you will not find many enemies with 1 shield layer. We also have the chain body shade, chain anti-hull beam. We also have a lot of these actually. That's pretty nice. Assembly cannon and anyways and rat laser. Now, let's be clear, it's like I understand, you can use the rat weapons to crew kill but one, if you're crew killing, I think we talked about this already with normal fights. If you're crew killing fights using rat weapons, you already made the fight safe using your other items. So that's not, you win the fight harder, and you win the fight harder because of the rat weapons. You didn't win the fight in first place because of rat weapons. Then I guess the flagship is just like, there are better ways to crew kill the flagship, You don't even have to bring a dedicated rat weapon because most of them are just gonna suicide into your ship anyways. You much rather get a bomb or something that does system damage while you slowly deal with the borders, and your bomb can disable enemy systems. Then once you've cleared the infestation on your ship, then you slowly crew kill them. So rat weapons are just outclassed in even the regard of crew killing the flagship. Yeah, I agree, but Body Shade is just the middle of being in the middle of being okay and being okay, and that just makes it bad. It's like too far from both ends. What else do we have here? I think I just missed a couple of standard appearances here. I missed Stim Bomb and I missed Torch. I think I got everything else though. So let me just find those. Torch found. Oh, they're right next to each other. Cool. Cool. Um. There's 30. Wait, no. Yes, 30 weapons. There's 32. Did I miss 2? I think I missed 2. Oh no, I haven't brought in Medical Bomb as well. Right. Cool. And I think I'm missing one more thing. I just need to find it. Did I get all the 1 power weapons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did. This is... Yeah, sorry, this is just annoying. I gotta find that one weapon that's like missing from the niche tier. Wait, hang on. No, I think I got everything. There's 30... No, hang on. 22, 9. No, that's 10. Cool, no, I got everything. Cool. That's everything in a niche category. Okay, D tier. Starting off, we're gonna do the same format as yesterday where we go class by class. So... Okay, we're gonna start off with beams. A lot of the standard beams ended up here. The standard small beams, I mean. So scythe, foul card, I think. Not sure how you pronounce that. Mining beam, a pipe, spontoon, speedum. There's also Corsac. Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and that, yeah, the stun beam. Where is it? Partisan. Yeah, so you can already see Partisan is up here. Is higher than the other rat weapons just because it does system damage. So, why? And Partisan is already good enough for crew killing the flagship crew. You know, you don't need a dedicated anti-bio weapon. That's what I'm trying to say. You can crew kill the flagship without. Yeah. I mean, if Mining Beam didn't have that +1 system damage, it would genuinely be F tier. I'm not paying 3 power for 1 damage beam. For a half baked in Rancier. Oh, well, it's there for the shield pierce and system damage, so yeah. I believe Spontoon and Speedum were higher, but were higher in the early game tier list. I mean, but of course, with the fact that low power weapons are not, specifically 1 power and 0 power weapons are not as strong compared to early game. They need to be a bit more impactful in the late game to justify having a high spot. Like, you would not see me use Speedum in my flagship build a lot of the time. I think there's just a lot better 1 power options. And 2 power options. Now, what's next? Ooh, a whole bunch of ions. So, let's see. Basically, all the charged ions ended up here. And also the heavy ions. Where's charge stunner? Oh, up here. Fire ion. And then the energy weapons as well. Some of them. Heavy energy, 100%. Chain energy. Energy stunner. And asphyxia ion from TRC. Cool. Okay, I think I got all the iron weapons. So music. I didn't change the volume. I don't think. Maybe it is just the QR sound. I can double check. Oh well, it swapped off the QR soundtrack already. It's now back to the Federation one. But yeah. Okay. Is there much else to say about this? It's basically the same thing as I talked about the other ions earlier, but except these ones are a bit less hit or miss, so to speak. They're generally more power efficient as well. So with that, we can put them into the D tier instead of the niche tier, unlike some of the other ions. Now, charge one, sorry, the normal charge ion one and the charge stunner also moved down from C tier, I believe, because the 2 power charge feature is not as impressive late game. Like early game, yeah, I say you can space out the shots to disable enemy weapons, but late game you'd rather just keep shields down, and then you rather keep shields down and then just actually damage their weapons, instead of doing ion damage. And if you do want ion damage still, there are other options for that, like fire energy and energy 2. Yeah. I feel like I should say something else about ions, because I do trash on them quite a lot. But yeah, in my mind, it's the same issue as what I mentioned earlier. If it gets hacked or killed, that's one of Ion's biggest counters. The chain energy, it still takes quite a while to spin up. So if you were planning on using this to break shields, then it's gonna be a while before you can get through. Some of the others, they just don't do enough fast enough. Some of these take 15, 16 seconds, and then they proceed to take down 2 shields, which is okay, not completely amazing like the other better weapons. So yeah, I think it should be it. Oh well, I guess as you mentioned, Asphyxia Ion used to be C or B tier, but again, the one shield pierce is just a lot harder to make work in the late game. Not saying you can't make it work, but not as easy. Okay, that's D tier. Now, no, sorry, there are still a couple more weapons in the D tier. I'm just saying that's all the ion weapons in D tier. There we go. Projectiles, lasers, things. Yes. We're gonna put, where is it? Light 2 into D tier. Gonna put Pierce 3, Anti-How to 3. Yep. Adaptive laser. Ion Flak, and Crystal Scatter. Okay, you could argue that Ion Flak could be C tier because it's not so the cooldown is not so bad, and you're probably gonna fire twice. Not saying it's amazing, which is why it's even considered to be D or C tier, not definitively in C tier. It's up to you. I personally still don't really like Ion Flag, so I'm gonna leave it in D tier because of the shot efficiency. Like the first volley is still very important even in late game, and just having a 1-to-1 power ratio is just not good for your first volley. So one projectile for 1 power, there's just a lot better options. The others, Light 2 state here, Adaptive state here, Charge, Crystal Scatter state here. You may notice that Frost 2 and what's the other one? Yeah, Frost 2 is not here, even though it's also a 3 power 4 shot gun, because it actually locks down rooms and murders crew inside it. So by that definition, it's better than these for actually keeping you safe or just shutting off repairs or killing crew, and yeah. So that one's at least got a decent enough effect to warrant a C tier placement. Could be better, yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, you see later on the up tiers are dominated by the same standard stuff again. So I do wish something. We've got to do something with ions. I think they've just been not meta for basically since vanilla, right? Apart from Ion Bomb, but that's because it's a bomb and it's low power. I think I'm just missing 2 more weapons from here. D tier, how many weapons are there? 26. By move weapons, so there should be 2 more. Yep, okay, I think that's just 2 more. So the last 2 weapons in D tier gonna be Virulant and Collider 1. Okay, so I think Virulent's pretty self-explanatory. Just like the other anti-bio weapons, you need your other weapons to secure the fight for you first, so Virulent is just there for a bit of bonus points for crew kills. It's not the one that's actually keeping you safe immediately. Though admittedly, it is pretty good against the flagship, don't get me wrong. You when they're gonna board you in that 2x2 teleporter room, you can just shoot it in there and just make them scramble so you don't have to deal with 2 MFKs on your ship. But I guess the more interesting one is Collider 1, and that's because 1 power 2 shots that does appear shields is quite questionable. Like, early game it's fine because the low cooldown is okay, and 1 power for 2 damage is also pretty good. But late game, there's just a lot better options. I don't think Collider 1 is total garbage late game, it's just most of the time you would rather use something else. So yeah, in other words, this weapon could be better. Next. That is the D tier. Gonna move on to the C tier. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag up the beams. No, actually, there's only 2 beams. The only 2 beams are also coincidentally the 2 best ones from vanilla. If I recall correctly, these are the 2 best beams in vanilla. I hope I'm not wrong on this, but it's gonna be Albert and Lucerne. Yeah, because unlike the 4 power beams, they actually get a very respectable amount of damage done for less power and faster cooldown as well. So they're not total liabilities when you get hacked. You get a sense? Because by having a lower power beam, it just allows you to bring more stuff to break shield. And that's part of the reason why Vogue is so low, even though it can realistically one-shot ships and you can keep it safe, is because by being 5 power, it's a lot harder to pair it with other weapons. Yeah, true. It's we all remember the glory days of Halberd. And even Lucerne to some extent, I'm pretty sure it was considered A or B tier weapon in vanilla. But yeah, Multiverse's meta has just been generally quite unfavorable towards beams. Because enemies can have a lot more nonsense to throw at you right now. Like, there's a lot of enemies have auxiliary systems, whereas in vanilla, not that many enemies had those systems, I think. You've got new types of enemies, you've got elites, you've got bosses, you've got, yeah, even the standard multiverse flagship demands good system damage coverage, so. Also, if you think about it, like, in vanilla, you can almost two-shot the, I think you can basically two-shot the vanilla flagship using Halberd. You can't do that in multiverse, so you can't bank all your marbles on just going in for a hull rush. Whereas in vanilla, you could to some extent. Anyways, there's a bunch of weapons I need to bring out now, so they're all a whole bunch of ions, energy weapons. So let me just bring them out and then we'll go through them. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's all of the iron weapons. Yeah, Trion, I want to talk about this. It's the cooldown, it's 100% the cooldown. Before the buff, it would definitely be like D or even niche category, but the cooldown actually makes it kind of decent, honestly. And the fact that not everything is packed into a single projectile, unlike heavy ions, so it has chances to miss. And it doesn't just lose everything if it misses one shot. You can miss one shot per volley and you will still stack, even at level 1 manning, by the way. Right? What do I It's not something I would consider buying going into late game, because if I go into late game and I need weapons, I'm probably looking for something like S S A B, but it's fine. I'm not gonna um like shy away from using a quad ion if I have to. Just don't use it for systems. It's really bad for that. Yeah, times change, sadly. Phases are still phases. They're okay. Um, I think this may have moved up a little bit. If it didn't, it's in the same tier. That's fine. It, like phase ion is basically the other ion weapons. Like it's basically ion 2 but better because it's more independent and less prone to just crashing out over a single dodge or something. Yeah, I can see that. Like Zoltan A is not Zoltan A is a Zoltan shield, but even then, some people call it overrated because Halberd Halberd low as a solo offense is kind of questionable. And same thing here, because we all talk about how 3 power weapons are harder to fit in early on, and that's exactly the good point. That it's B even an S tier weapon late game can be B tier early game because of the power requirement. Yeah. System Shock. I think System Shock moved from B to C because the shield pierce got nerfed in a well, sorry. In the environment of from early game to late game, the two shield pierce is not as important anymore. Phase keeps the same shield pierce, like it pierces all shields regardless of the sector, so that's why phase 2 didn't go down because of that. Then Ion Magnifier, it's strange because it seems okay, I guess, on paper, but you can't delay your volley too much for this weapon. And if you don't delay your volley too much, then this doesn't provide as much value as you get from a magnifier. And then at that point, we're basically shooting a simple ion. So there is it's definitely better than simple ion because normally if your main volley takes like 14 seconds to charge, then ion magnifier will be able to charge up 2 ions. Then yeah, exactly. So it can still perform, which is why it's in C here. It's just that for it to perform, it takes a little bit longer. So it's not as high as it could be if the performance came faster. You don't get why it has Rito. I guess my thinking is that they wanted to give it a way to deal with two shield ships, but then they realized Zoltan shield was so strong that they said they could just keep Zoltan A in check by not giving it 4 weapon power, because if you give Zoltan A 4 weapon power, that's almost basically a direct upgrade to Castro A. More weapon power and the Zoltan shield. Yeah. Yeah, so Iron Mag is just there is potential, it's fine. It's a nice add-on, but not your main firepower. Next we have I guess these two are the same. Nice that they got cooldown buffs. I think otherwise they would be lower, but yeah, for what it's worth, you can still use them to just knock off 3 your weapons. And I think also one thing about this is that these are more versatile than ions because you can use energy weapons to kill the hull. So you can think of it this way: if you have full ion build, you can't kill enemies. You need a drone system. But if you do full ion and one energy tree, for example, then you can actually hull kill enemies. Not that I'm recommending as a build because laser and flags are just more efficient for that. But the energy guns enable you to actually kill the enemies when the rest of the weapons are ion. So for that reason, I think the energy weapons have that element of being a very distant but potential win condition. Think about it that way. That's ions in C tier. We now have lots of other things. But first, also let's just talk about Rito. Rito ends up in C tier. Yeah, the efficiency does catch up to it quite a bit. And if you want to argue with D tier, I don't mind. I do acknowledge that the where is it? Here we go. Yeah, I do acknowledge that the efficiency is not good, but I still think it's the one system damage for 1 power through any amount of shields, and also the element of missile efficiency may or may not be an issue, unlike early game where missiles are typically an issue always because you don't have so much time to stock them up. So yeah, it's okay. I could see myself using this instead of Iron Magnifier, for example, but definitely no higher than C. Energy gets used for fun value. Yeah, I can see that. Alright, let's go on to just standard projectile weapons for the C tier. Let's see. We have, gosh, where is it? Yeah, here's one. No, not BC. Amp laser, I think. Yeah, amp laser ends up in C tier. Where is it? Chamber? Chain anti-hull? A bunch of flags as well. Chain flag. Chain flag. Where's chain flag? Yep. The elemental flags aside from ion. So we have rat flag, frost flag, and fire flag. We have frost 2, as I was talking about earlier. Frost 2, crystal 2, crystal heavy 2. Black 4. Burst 3. Burst 3. Neo crystal. And Chaos magnifier. These are the laser or flag weapons that ended up in the C tier. Found it. Now, here's okay. Let's see. Only one damage is starts to get a lot more iffy. I agree. So, I'm gonna disclaimer that Rito is arguably D. I'll leave it at the bottom of C for now. Frost 1 is gonna be in B, I think. We'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, Pierce lasers are strange to use because they're unsynergetic with everything else. And for that, they don't even bring that much to the table by themselves. That's the weird thing. Like, for starters, Pierce 1 is basically a nerf compared to Crystal 1 because Crystal 1 doesn't need 2 power. The only visible advantage I see is that Pierce 1 it has accuracy and it's not targeted by missile shooting drones. That's about it. But the power difference is from 1 to 2 power. It's not something I would trade for. Cross 2 is as if it's if it's the efficient version, they're insane. Pierce magnifier can save you some missiles on a ballistic build, doesn't make it good. Right, and I think that's why. So you remember when we were talking about the special weapons, I had the clone launcher and the recycler mine launcher in, I believe, C or D tier, and it's because they could allow you to just save missiles and eventually hull kill an enemy ship. Same reason with Pierce magnifier, but that's about all it's good for in late game because just like other Pierce weapons that do not consume ballistics, that important disclaimer. But yeah, just like other Pierce weapons, the efficiency is just not there. 2 power, 2 damage is bad. That's why Sword Launcher was also lowered from A tier to C tier. Okay, looking at the rest of this, like Chain Anti-Hull and Laser Chain Guy I think are still a bit too slow. to get started compared to the other lasers. Amp laser is too hit or miss. Same reason why the artillery laser from CE is just so low. All damage packed into one shot is risky. But amp laser, admittedly, it is quite fast to what it can do. So there's that. And also it can be flexible. It's not that you're just having it as a 4 power option the whole time. Elemental flags, I think they're basically about the same. Yes, they're less likely to go down, but the shot efficiency is also a bit worse. But they have some decent status effects to compensate. Frost 2. Okay, let's talk about Frost 2 versus Frost 1. Now, I know Frost 2 has a better shot efficiency than Frost 1, because Frost 1, you're paying 2 power for 2 shots, so 1 power for 1 shot. Whereas Frost 2, you're paying 3 power for 4 shots, which is like what, 1.33 shots per 1 power. So yes, the shot efficiency argument is definitely on Frost 2's side. However, if we look at the context in which these things are used, Frost weapons are usually used to deal damage to the room itself. Because if you use Wake Shield, then they just straight up worse than the alternatives. If I have to use Frost 2 to Wake Shields, I would much rather have Burst 2, Burst 1, maybe honestly even Burst 5, Burst 3. Like Burst 3 is better than at Frost 2 for breaking shields. So that means you want to be using Frost weapons for actually damaging system rooms. And here's the issue. If you use it for damaging system rooms, that means your other weapons are doing shield breaking, right? And Frost 2's cooldown is 16 seconds. Frost 1's cooldown is 13 seconds, and that's the big issue. Most of the best shield breakers that appear in the A or S tier, they all range from 13 to 14 second cooldown. Which means that if you use Frost 1, you can fire Frost 1 alongside those weapons as soon as they're ready. So it doesn't delay your volley. Whereas if you use Frost 2 alongside the other weapons, 1, it costs more power, and 2, your other volley is delayed because of Frost 2, which is not good. And I think that's really the main argument against it, is that Frost 2 delays your volley. You can't fire Frost 2 first while waiting for everything else. It's the other way around. Everything else has to wait for Frost 2. Why do Phantom ships really like PS lasers? I have no idea. That is a law question you're gonna ask someone else about. I'm honestly not sure why. Okay, Chain Flag, I think I moved it from D to C because the cooldown is not as bad, even though you still have to wait for it. Like, Frost 2 Charge Flag, Frost 2 and Chain Flag both have 16 second cooldown and they're like next to each other, so I guess that kind of shows you why the cooldown thing is important. But at least Chain Flag does catch up to the others by the second volley, so not that bad, I guess. But I'd rather just use the normal flag. I don't need Chain Flag then. To annoy the player, that's valid. You know, the Phantoms have drones that are very annoying, like the Amp Flag drone. Oh, that's a nightmare. And no, that was already there. Alright, these two. Yeah, these two are definitely way better in late game than early game because they are high power, high cooldown, but they smart shields. They're pretty efficient at just downing shields. Burst 3, in my opinion, is underrated, mainly because it makes Casual A gameplay unbearable. If Casual A's only offense... if Casual A didn't have Burst 3 as its only offense, I think people would like Burst 3 more. It's a late game weapon. I'm not saying to use Burst 3 early game, but I do think it's a little bit underrated for late game. A little bit. Pinch of salt, by the way. Like, it's an acceptable shield breaker late game, but I would still rather use Burst 2s. Neo Crystal falls off because the low cooldown is not really a justification once enemies are more than one shield. And yeah, we cover the rest. Next up, we have... I think it's just the ballistics left, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it should be. Oh, wait, no, I missed the beam. I missed the beam. Whoops, hang on, hang on. I missed Ultra Burn. How did I miss that? Yes, Ultra Burn, same thing. Like, it's nice for just dealing 1 damage to a room and also guaranteeing 3 fires in it. Or just doing that 3 rooms but 1 damage and 1 fire to each. But also, 1 is not effective against any ships that have anaerobic that's completely devoid of air. And 2 is just, it's less effective against ships that have small weapon rooms. And guess what? The flagship has 1x2 artillery rooms. So yeah, it's less effective against the flagship artilleries. It's still fine, that's why it's C tier. And actually, let's talk about the pinpoints before going on to the ballistics. We have 2 pinpoints here. Yeah, 2 pinpoints. The big one, the big fat one. Where is it? Where? Yeah, there we go. Stiletto. It's still okay late game. Again, 3 power for 4 damage is questionable. It's an okay ratio, an acceptable ratio, but it's not something I would be particularly happy about. Considering it costs 95 scrap, that's a lot to do only 4 damage. Don't know who thought Burst 3 is a good design for Castro A. Good question. Very good question, actually. I'm not sure why they wanted Castro A to have Burst 3. But yeah, I mean, we're here now, so if they want to buff Castro A, they could just give it a 4th weapon power, and I think Castro A would be back in the B tier. That would be nice. Yeah, so I talked about Stiletto A. Ultra Burn is really weird to use. I agree, but what it can actually do is actually decent enough to put it in the C tier for me. It's not something I particularly am comfortable using, but I know how to use it in the way that makes it effective, so still mid. That's a peak name. It's fun, I agree. It is pretty satisfying. Oh yeah, the one other pinpoint weapon. Well, Syncadia, it's here because you can build around it in late game, not early game where one shot takes off all your shield breakers and then suddenly this is useless. No, because you can actually protect it in late game, and when it spins up, it actually deals damage, unlike Vulcan. So, not saying it's amazing, like, because it did get nerfed. I think before nerf, it would probably be B tier because pre-nerf sync was so fast that it was legitimately a decent idea to just force your build around sync. It's not the easiest thing to force your build around because you need to have good defenses and good shield breaking. Sorry, you need to have good defenses and good shield suppression to keep shields low for sync to really perform. But since it got nerfed, it's like, it's not as much of carry option anymore. It can still work, but it's not something that will make me ditch a perfectly fine build to go for, if that makes sense. Wait, when you say overrated, are you talking about Stiletto or Sync? I agree Syncadia is overrated. I don't think anyone rates Stiletto though. I've never heard anyone talk about Stiletto that much. Oh yes, 100% Syncadia is still very fun. No doubt about that. Sync, okay, 100% agree. It's overrated. It's not what it used to be, guys. Just let it go. Let it go. Just go to the A and S tier weapons. Okay, Ballistics. Ballistics. What do we have? Chain kernel. Yeah, same reasons as I explained earlier. As elite chain kernel, you can actually protect it in late game, so it's by default just better, I guess. What else? Percy's and Nyx. They are still, yeah, Percy's and Nyx still suffer from the bad efficiency, even though the long cooldown is not as big of an issue in the late game. Because Percy's, yes, while enemy ships do have more systems, so Percy's generally gets more value from the splash. Against the flagship is definitely one of the worst missiles to have. Still worse than Colonel 1. I know, it's so funny that Colonel 1 is still... I'm not even gonna hide it, Colonel 1 is still S tier. Even in late game. But yeah. I don't know when we'll ever get a... I don't know what would have to change for high power weapons to consistently be better than low power weapons in the late game. That would require a very significant shift in the gameplay fundamentals past Sector 4. Yes, it's something to think about, but I don't know. Not something I can answer right now. I don't know the answer of that. Rebel Rebel Instigator. Yeah, I agree. I know what you're talking about. You just shoot at that 1x2 in the center and you hit like 6 systems around it. That's juicy. One shot Colonel 1. No, thank you. No. That's... God. It's like glorified Rito then. Yeah. No, there were other ballistics. Hang on. Let me check. Oh wait, repair bomb. Repair burst is up here. Same thing, decent get out of jail option, but how about you prevent taking damage instead of curing the damage? That's what I got to say. I think that's it. Let me just do a quick count and make sure I have everything in here. No, I think I'm missing one weapon. What am I missing? Oh, I missed the lockdown bomb, right? Hang on. Okay, wait, can you hear me? Because OBS just mentioned something about disconnecting at all of a sudden. You can hear me. Okay, cool. I don't know why. It's OBS just sometimes decides to randomly disconnect or show a disconnect message, and then it just reconnects back. So that's weird. I lagged for a second. Okay, that explains it. Yeah, it had a sudden disconnection. Che kernel is extremely missile hungry. I agree, which is why it's in C tier. It is definitely like very bad efficiency compared to all of the other kernels, missiles, and whatnot. Where would the better repair burst be? B tier, I think. Because again, maybe even just high C tier, higher than the normal repair burst. Because actually no, I think B tier is fine. Just not A tier because it's still the same age-old saying of prevention is better than cure. It's much better to just shoot the enemy down than to fix stuff. Because if you have one less weapon to damage them, then that's just less damage you can dish out towards their offense, and they can damage you more in return. So, yeah, prevention is better than cure. Just remember that. Anyways, lockdown bomb. It's same thing. You can still permanently cycle lockdown on a room, which is pretty toxic to just lock enemies out repairing it. Yes, the ammo efficiency is bad, but you don't have to lock the room down the entire fight. You can just do it once, twice, by that time. If you have a fire weapon, very good synergy with it. If you have another frost weapon, also great synergy. You can just stack them. You can just chain them instead of firing lockdown bomb on auto fire. But yeah, it's just decent. Fair enough. The ships that have repair burst plus is crucial to actually use it. Okay, I guess that is true. That is true. Counter argument, there's more in the late game. Sorry, there's more in the early game, not the late game. So, and we're talking about. Oh yeah. So on the topic of that, if we were talking about repair burst plus in the early game, A or B tier, I'm happy with that. But late game is also just a question of I'd rather just shoot them down first. With that, C tier is done. Okay, good. We're actually making much better progress than before. Now okay, this should be over soon because S tier, A tier, B tier, like you see basically the same weapons here. I don't think much has changed, which is to be expected, I guess. Because weapons that are consistently good, they just stay consistently good. I don't know what to say. Alright, B tier time. Let's go. So. In B tier, we're gonna start with beams. Once again, we have Torch and Fangtian. Yeah, I think that's the only two beams in here. So, Torch, there is a bit of give and take with Torch because Torch gets better and worse at the same time. It gets better in the sense that you have more things to support it. You can hack rooms, you can lock down rooms, you can mind control someone, and all that stuff. But also, there are more counters to Torch if you cannot properly sustain it. There's more enemy crew. Some enemy crew have extinguishers. The enemy flagship, the Multiverse flagship has 1x2 weapon rooms. So it's fine, but due to the fact that there are equal buffs and nerfs for it going into the late game, I don't think it's consistent enough to make the A or S tier. Also, it's pretty expensive. I think this could use a price reduction, to be honest. Not saying that it needs it, but I don't think it's worth 100 scrap. That price turns me off a lot of the time. Fountain, same thing. It's just good, reliable, 3 damage to 2x2 system rooms. There are more systems in a row in late game, so you can gain more damage. But at the same time, also the flagship has 1x2 artillery rooms, so it's less effective there. But yeah, that's why it's B tier. It's fine. There one pre-torch of hacking. Yeah. The answer is yes. Hacking 99% of the time. That 1% of the time is when I can't buy hacking on peacekeeping, on TRC peacekeeping, because buying hacking would forfeit shields. That's it. Then every other time I would buy hacking. Yeah, I guess it is nice self-order. Moving on, we've got the ion weapons. Cool. Where is it? Ion / energy. Yep. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure these are the exact same 3 ion weapons that made it into the B tier, I think. Phase 1, fire energy, energy 2. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so anyways, because phase 1, unlike the other 1 power 1 shot weapons, it still pierces all shields. So like it's literally functionally the same. It takes down one shield layer and knocks off one weapon at the same time. Or it can just be shot at shields to self-stack, and it only requires one power to do so. So by default, it's already stat-wise immediately better than a lot of the other iron weapons. And I'm not saying that phase 1 needs enough. I think the other iron weapons need a buff to kind of match that. He has 3 iron only cost 65. It's just... Okay, spoilers, prefrag is 70, prefrag is A tier, pre-irons is S tier. I don't know, like, realistically, you'd think the price would be inverted. The mid-tier weapon is the one with the middle price, the worst weapon is the one with the cheapest price, and the best weapon is the one with the highest price. But no, this is inverted for some reason. So the best weapon also is the easiest to buy. That's just a very funny thing, but anyways. Coming back to this, fire energies, same thing. You can turn off 2 weapons and start 2 fires. Very nice. Energy 2, I think it's a bit questionable by itself. Later on, arguably, definitely one of the worst weapons in the B tier. But all in all, it's still fair enough. Especially at this point, you have at this point, you probably have level 2 Manning, and level 2 Manning allows Energy 2 to self-stack. Now, one iron weapon being able to self-stack by itself is pretty good, and mainly on Energy 2, unlike cases like, where is it? Okay, I'm not going to scroll down that far, but unlike Ion 2, because Energy 2, even if it misses, it does something in the meantime. That's the most important thing. Because while you're waiting to get up to the final point where you can self-stack and take down all shields, at least Energy 2 is taking down 2 shields at a time, so your normal volley weapons can get through. While on the other hand, Ion 2, it's just doing its own thing until it takes down enough shields to be of a decent benefit to the other weapons. Energy 2 just contributes along the way, that's how I see it. They both get there in the end. 3 iron power shit can be milled. Yeah. Yeah. But okay, definitely if you want to put Energy 2 in C tier, I don't mind. I can see that very much. Next we have tons of laser weapons. I guess a whole bunch of laser weapons that just didn't make the cut for A tier, but they're all still fairly decent for late game. So we're gonna go with this. Congratulations, Collider 2, you're actually kind of decent in the late game. We have Crystal 2 as well, we have big 3 power guns, charge 3, charge heavy 3. Well, there's no charge heavy 3, it's just charge heavy. Heavy 3 also makes its way into the B tier. Chain burst. Where is chain burst? There it is. Conservative laser. Compact laser. Hang on. Conservative laser. Laser. Fire starter. And last one. Cool. Let's see what do we have here. So yeah, the game, the cooldown on Collider 2 is as big of an issue, and the fact that it deals 6 damage for 2 powers is pretty decent. It's still a bit dubious because of the slow wave cooldown, and it does radiation instead of fires. So Particle 2 made it into A tier because fires and they're faster. But Particle 2 is fine. It's not like objectively bad in early game because of the 17-second cooldown. So yeah, Crystal 2 a bit slow as well. Same story with this.
flexibility, but also a bit high power, I guess. Heavy tree is a good example of if you compare this to Cross 2, for instance. So heavy tree is only 1 second slower than Cross 2, but it deals 2 more damage. So that is something that I would be willing to wait for because Cross 2, yes, the return is nice, but the damage difference between Cross 2 and Heavy 3 is it's not something that you can easily ignore. So if you dedicate your other weapon power to breaking shields, and then you let Heavy 3 control, you smash weapon system 6 damage. It basically turns off like 2 weapons at a time, which is really good. This one, it's funny you say that because I notice it sometimes. Sometimes it feels like Frost 1 shoots normally, and sometimes it does feel like there's a delay. I feel like they could get around and fix that, but yeah, like Frost 1, I mentioned this one already, is for the lockdown effect, I'm willing to pay 2 power if it's fast. I'm not willing to pay 3 power if it's just a little bit more shot efficient, but it's also longer. And grabs the rest of my volley for lockdown. I would delay my volley if it's for heavy 3. I mean, there are still better weapons, yes, but we'll get to that in the A and S tiers. But basically, I'm saying I would rather delay my volley for heavy 3 than if I would delay my volley for Frost 2. Speed. Interesting. I might have to consider that. Firestarter, same thing. It's fast and it actually does pretty decent um effects. Compact. Compact is just okay. Still suppression, but not consistent really. I mean, Compact does have a pretty good synergy with the likes of Syncadia and some of the other weapons that require shield to be down, be effective, like Newer Crystal, for example. So there's that. Conservative Laser is interesting because while it's 18 seconds, which means you have to wait quite a long time, it is also just straight up 2 free shots. So depending on the ship, this can be quite useful. So up to you, Not saying Conservative Laser is broken, but it's fine. Sometimes you are willing to wait for the extra shots, sometimes you're not willing to wait. And that's fine. It's not the best in every situation, which is good. Good. That's how a conservative weapon should be. But we're gonna go into that same rant as yesterday anyways. So and Canvas is just slower than the other. Um yeah, it's slow. I mean, realistically it's probably like high end of B tier, considering I do put anti-hull 1 in A tier, and that's only 1 second faster than Chain Burst. But yeah, I don't really want to put it in the same tier as Burst 1. Yeah, 15 seconds is workable, so it's probably the top of B tier for me. Next we have I think it's just the ballistics, and we're done with the B tier. So we have Momus, we have Recycler Bomb. I saw it and I'm missing it. Dang. Okay, there it is. Oh, whoops, no, that's Themis, that's not Momus. Whoops. Hang on. There we go, that's Momus. Ion Bomb. Stun Bomb. Solar Kernel. Particle Missile. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me check. Oh, yeah, we have all the BTL weapons right here. So
feels weird seeing moments in B. Yes. Here's the thing, like, by the time you come late game, typically missiles are not that big of a deal anymore. Like, the missile supply should be decent. Because Momos is really good for carrying your early game and saving you missiles, but it is on the slow end of things. You gotta keep in mind it is still 17 seconds, which is one of the slower missiles. It's still great for sure, yeah. But it's still duration. Same with Recycle Bomb. Now, Ion Bomb, it's more of an interesting case because why it's rated so highly in the early game is because for 1 power, it's a fantastic get out of jail option because it's got great accuracy, 4 ion damage. By shooting 4 ion damage into enemy weapons, all their weapons go offline in the early game. That's not so much the case in late game, and after you disable them, then the question is, then what? Because you still have to kill them, right? So you spend 1 missile on just disabling their things for a brief period of time, which is good. It's still good. It can help you, but you still gotta kill them eventually. And that's the distinct. That's one of the main distinctions between early game and late game. Early game, you're kind of trying to survive to the point where you can guarantee that you can survive against any enemy, and then you work to make your offense sustainable. Late game is about capitalizing on that sustainable offense and converting it into enough scrap to beat the flagship. So Iron Bomb is really, really good at just saving you. And once it gets to the part where you need sustainable offense, it's not the best anymore in the department. That's how I view it. Iron Bomb being the best bomb in vanilla. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's decent. I think people still preferred Small Bomb, but it was decent there as well. Stun Bombs, similar story to Iron Bomb, a bit more punch with the 5 ion, but also slower, more power. I would prefer Iron Bomb than Stun Bomb. So our kernel, 2 power, 2 damage, fire is inconsistent, but at least it can save you. Missile, fire for missile is still slow, but at least it's, I think, better protected than in the early games. So you can absolutely use this to smash an enemy system. Meta bombs in vanilla, small bomb, weak from iron bomb. Yeah, that checks out. That sounds about right. Cool. B tier is done. And okay, here's where I want to make something clear. So we are on to the S and A tier now. And just to be clear, everything in S and A tier are things I'm very much happy to use. It really depends on the ship because on 4 weapon slot ships, I'm perfectly happy to have 2 1-power weapons, 1 or 2 1-power weapons. That's fine. But on ships with fewer weapon slots, then suddenly 2 to 3 power weapons become a lot better. So there is this category where I want to point out there are some weapons that are A tier, and I would still happily use them as if they were an S tier weapon. But now I'm going to distinguish S and A tier by which is more versatile. Because realistically, if you look at all of these weapons, I would gladly use any of these against flagship. Just random number generator, pick 4 of them, and we'll pitch it against flagship. You'll be fine. So yeah, with that said, just keep in mind, I'm gonna label this in case someone watches this with sound off. A is what I would consider slightly less versatile, and S is what I would consider overall more versatile. So keep that in mind. Yeah, this game's a little faster because a lot of these are just repatches. We have to change a bunch of placements, but not that many. So also I think I set up most of my stuff properly, so yay. Reach bomb to yeah. Use not average use. Oh, right here. AP's got a massive explosion. So let's just bring a lot of the 1-power weapons in here. So flag 1. Newer laser.
Chain Heavy, Particle 1, Charge 1, Pierce Heavy, uh, the Burst 1, Particle 2, Heavy 1, the 3 1 power crystal weapons, Crystal 1, Crystal Charger, and Crystal Heavy, Magnify 1, Magnify 2, what else? Oh, Trifecta goes in here. 3 flag. And I think I've got all of the... Oh no, sorry, I missed 2. Anti-Howl 1 and Anti-Howl 2 made it into the 8 tier this time. Congratulations, because the cooldown is not too bad, I must say. Though this is again a bit dubious because of 15-second cooldown, which is a bit close to the +2 cooldown of 16 seconds. So yeah, a bit sketchy there, but overall I think it's still fairly good enough. So yes, you will notice these are pretty efficient, but these are what I would call damage efficient, not slot efficient. And what I mean by slot efficient is the amount of damage it outputs from a single weapon slot. And slot efficiency becomes very, very important when you look at 3 or 2 weapon slot chips. Using a 1 power laser weapon on a 2 weapon slot chip is basically useless, because then the other weapon has to do all the hard carrying. And that's why I would say these are just less versatile, because these are all the 1 power weapons you see are basically unplayable on 2 weapon slot chips, and they are also a bit unfavorable on 3 weapon slot chips. You can definitely still use them, that's 100% for certain, but I think a 3 weapon slot chip would just be a lot better off with something like Flag 3 Burst 2 Heavy 2. Because if you use 1 power weapons on a 3 weapon slot chip, then you are leaving the other 2 weapon slots to use 7 weapon power. Which means either you're not fully utilizing the extent of your offense by using less than 7 weapon power between weapon slots, or you're using one of the 4 power weapons, which is slow. So it's like lose-lose either way. Because you can still win, don't get me wrong, because that's why we put stuff like Flag 4 Burst 3 in C tier, because they actually do clap shields. But it's just not as good as Flag 3 Heavy 2 Heavy 2. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Harbinger 1's a little bit slower. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's the main thing. Also with particle weapons, you have more shield breaking, so it's a lot more consistent for you to get your shots through as compared to early game. They also start good amount of fire, so that's nice. Crystal weapons, Pierce shield, they are less synergetic with things like pinpoint, so keep that in mind. Mag 1, Mag 3. Mag 1's basically heavy laser 1. Mag 2 is burst 2 packed into a single shot, which is definitely questionable because you're banking everything on one shot. But it has accuracy, so it's fine. Trifecta radius may be a bit of an issue here because now it's basically a much slower Flag 2 if you use it for shield breaking, because the damage is not consistent if you use it to hit the flagship artilleries. So that's why it's definitely A tier. This one, I have no doubt it's in A tier. Maybe you could say burst 1 in S tier or something, but Trifecta is 100% a A tier weapon. 3 flag, still good, but most of the time you gotta actually use more than one volley to kill the enemy or get something proper done. It also has the same issue of being not as great on 3 weapon slots and basically unusable on 2 weapon slot. So that's why it's here. These two I've already covered. So we're gonna move on to the ballistics, because really this whole tier is just lasers and ballistics. That's it. Okay, ballistics. Breach bomb, small bomb, shrapnel bomb, spore one, chain spore. Oh, basically all the spore launchers. Spore 2, stun spore, heavy spore. The elemental missiles. Kernel to heavy kernel. Ares. Particle bomb. Hades. That might be it. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay. Stream is lagging. Ah, yeah. Is this error popping up again? Damn it. I don't know why it keeps like dropping frames. So weird. So everything is running fine. I haven't started anything. Strange. Okay, we're just gonna hope this gets better because we're basically at the end. Okay, no, okay, we're covered. I think the stream was covered. Yay, we're back. Okay, let's see. Isn't Ares just a better Hermes? It doesn't have fire chance, and it's also a little bit slower, last I recall. But how should I say? So I'm not gonna say there's a huge difference, to be honest. Like, it's why I said, you know, A and S tier are basically, I'm very happy to use any of these weapons, and I do not think there's a major difference. It's just that versatility wise, it's a little bit. But yeah, I think ever since they took away Hermes, Outburst, I think the level of playing field between these have gotten a lot closer. So really, I think if you want to put Ares in S, I would agree. Not the other two though. The other two are 2 seconds slower, which is like, that's actually considerable, considering these are 17-second cooldown. Yeah, if I can put Ares in S here, I don't mind. I'll leave it like top of A, I guess. Apart from that, yeah, most of the missiles you see here are either ones that don't deal hull damage, which means you can't just spam them to keep you safe because you still need to kill the enemy somehow, or ones that are 17 seconds or more, which is, yeah, Heavy Spore, these two, Asclepius, Boreas, Colonel 2, Heavy Colonel, Ares. Yeah, these are just, yeah, and Hades is once again questionably B tier, but I think it's still good enough with the guaranteed fires. And the same argument applies to Iron Bomb as it applies to Breach Bomb and Normal Bomb. While they are some of the best early game weapons for saving you, late game it's not good, but you still gotta kill the enemy somehow, because you can't just bomb one enemy, throw a bomb at them and then run away. You gotta earn scrap, you know? But what we actually do have that can save you and also deal hull damage are the S tier ballistics. Apollo, Artemis, Colonel 1, Charge Colonel, Pegasus, Hysh, Themis, Prometheus, Hydra, Conservative Bomb. Okay, no, sorry. Correction, Conservative Bomb doesn't do hull damage, but it's no power, so it's still automatically very versatile. Yeah, I am pretty sure this list is almost the exact same, if not exactly the same as the ones that were in the S tier in the early game. The only difference is I don't consider Hysh or Conservative Bomb to be game breaking in the late game because of that whole versatility thing where these are not good picks on 2 or 3 weapon slot chips. So yeah, I guess there is a situation when Hysh is not the best weapon. Yeah. But aside from that, these are all, they're fast, they deal hull damage, they deal system damage, they bypass all shield. Mostly applies to these first 6 though, because these two can charge. They can fire a lot faster than normal, so there's that. Epimetheus is still great just to instantly get an edge up in the fight. It's basically like we have big iron at home kind of thing. And Themis is, yes, it is slow, but it also deals splash damage for just 1 power, which is, honestly, I respect that. Perseus is down here because it takes too much power to do that, but Themis, it does the standard 1 power for 2 damage bit like Artemis while also dealing splash, so I think that justifies it up there. Yeah, it's questionable. Epimetheus is still really good, but if we nerf Epimetheus, we gotta do something about TRC stealth. That ship is gonna be in the dumps if Epimetheus gets nerfed anymore. Anyways, we're gonna actually go on to the other non-ballistics, which are, I would say, the most broadly consistent lasers and random pre-ion, because pre-ion's also S. But we also have Charge 2, Flak Charger, Flak 2, Heavy 2. I'm just oh, I forgot Hermes. Whoops, sorry. Hermes is an S tier ballistic. Flak 3, Light Burst, Misery Cord, Burst 2, Point Art. Yeah, again, Point Arts. I know Point Art is basically like not very slot efficient because it only does 2 damage for 1 slot, but it's also just dirt with no power. I don't really know how I can put this on the same tier, so I put it here. On what side am I on? Flak 2 or Burst 2? Ooh, depends. Not generally Burst 2, but I don't know. This is like, would you like this S tier ship or that S tier ship? And I'm like, both are really good. Like, yeah. Point Art should be so 100% agree. Like I said, they forgot to nerf Point Art when they nerfed Dirk, so Point Art's only a second slower than Dirk as it stands, which was never the intention, because originally Dirk was 10 seconds and Point Art was 13 seconds, and it made a lot more sense. So now they gotta nerf Point Art to like 15 at least to make it make sense. Though I would argue 16 is better. 16 or 17. But yeah, apart from that, let's see. Most of these are still up here like they used to be. It's just that in the late game, I mentioned that weapon sustainability was more important. So it's not like early game where where missiles are super good because you just use them in the critical fight to save you, and they save you better than any of these weapons can. But you can't be using missiles every fight unless you are using it to support boarding, in which case boarding is helping out in missiles. But for pure gunship, these are the best of the best long-term sustainable options. Notably, Heavy 2 is also up here. Insane damage efficiency, 2 power for 4 damage in a very fast cooldown, and with a lot more shield breaking power, you can consistently ensure these get through shields. Flak 3, it's well protected because you've got 7 or 8 weapon power protecting a 3 power weapon, and it's also the fastest, and it's basically the fastest shield breaker that can clear all 5 shields on flagship at once. So That's good. Rest of these I think are pretty standard. I hope there are no surprises here. But yeah, and I've actually left this tier empty for once. The S plus needs enough because I genuinely don't think, like, I don't think anything actually needs a nerf in the late game. What I think needs to happen is that we need to buff some of the lower tier ones. That's what I think should happen. Because if you look at this tier, it's dominated by, it's just ballistics and lasers and flag and pinpoints. There is no good E, no good ion. Instead of nerfing these weapons, I would prefer we instead buff one, the high power weapons, and two, just the weapon classes that are just generally not favored in Multiverse's meta right now. Yeah, you watch enough of my streams know that every single time I see a reach guard, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Please be the 75% chance that it's a reach guard and not a coalition guard. Please, please, please. Yeah, Charge 2 got a really big glow up going from vanilla. Honestly, I accept that because if it was 3 power in Multiverse, it would be so bad compared to like literally everything else. Unless they made the cooldown insanely fast, for example. But they only have a 3 power charge, that's the Charge 3. But yeah, so I'm actually gonna leave this as an empty tier because that's how I feel. The purpose of the S plus tier was to indicate that something is unusually strong, and I think it should get a nerf in the next update. I don't think that's the case for late game weapons. With the exception of Big Iron and Payload, but those are event weapons, not standard weapons. Another topic altogether. But yeah, so that is the tier list. That is everything. Good time, we actually got it done in like 40% faster than yesterday. But alright. Once again, if there are anything that you can't see properly, like I apologize for the small images and small fonts, but that's just how we have to deal with it. I will convert this all into a Google Docs so you can see much more clearly. Yeah. But yeah. Any questions before I close this off? Yeah, no extra story. That's sad. Too bad he couldn't catch this one. I think maybe it's just time zone difference, but for Thursday, this is a very good time for me to do it. So yeah. Yeah, that's right. Charge 2. And that's the thing about charge weapons. You're not even forced to wait that long. So you can just use the 3-shot option if the rest of your volley is 13 seconds or so. But if you have charge 2 and heavy 3, then you get to take full advantage of charge 2's 4 shots. Which is just great, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be the real, like, slightly rank the non-ballistics, it would probably be like heavy 2 up here, like flag 3, heavy 2, charge 2. Oh, this is hard. Maybe Maizui caught down here just because it's like, it's competing with flag with heavy 2 for system damage, so it's down here. Something like that, yeah. I think this is... Okay, technically point out it belongs in a needs enough tier, but I think it's more of a dev oversight in my opinion, so I'm not gonna put it up there. Yeah, something like that. Loki just... This one is whatever way you like it. But yeah, that's it. Will there be more weapon tier lists? Maybe. You know what? I'll put a poll. If you guys want me to make a weapon tier list specifically for Nexus ending and True ending, then look up a poll. I'll ask that. I'll ask in the poll, do you just want to go on to the ship quest, or do you want to see a actual tier list for Nexus and True end? Yeah. I'm finding out today. I got to go like soon, like real soon. So we'll see. But yeah, and one more thing, just keep in mind, this is all, it's a small part of a larger project where I want to make a guide this year on how to beat hard extreme, and I'm slowly making all of these different videos that will overall add up into that one big project. So it's gonna be like a single big video that just references a lot of these smaller videos where I don't have time to explain all of my thoughts in that one big video, because otherwise it would be like a 5 to 6 hour long video. But I can just point it to other videos which, like this stream, that has more detailed explanations for each of the weapons. Drone tier list? Ooh, no idea. Because May is just ship tier list. Sorry. What am I talking about? May is ship requests. Yes. June, we're gonna start the next long grind. July, I'm gonna look at a special thing, which is, and by special I just mean like something other than normal ships. So for a while, I think for the next month and a half, it's just gonna be just normal gameplay, I think. Drone tier list will be an option alongside some other things which are, again, part of a bigger vision, contribute towards a hard extreme guide. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's it then, because seems like there's no questions. And yeah, it's pretty similar to the early game theories as mentioned. Renegade tier list, yes and no. I guess yes, because it does guide you on what ships you really need to. I think, yeah, I will make a Renegade guide, but it's definitely one of the less important ones, because if you're not confident, you can just pay the 45 scrap. I always recommend holding on 45 scrap anyways, because you never know if you're going to get Castro B or Monk B. But yeah, there's something along the line. It's just, I think, one of the less important factors of Renegade cruisers, I mean, one of the less important factors in terms of how to consistently win hard extreme. Because the only thing that you need consistently know is to hold 45 scrap as soon as you're in Sector 4 and beyond. That's it. Cool. With that said, I do really have to go now. So, good timing. Thankfully, we got the stream done a lot faster than yesterday. Yeah. And once again, I'll put up here. So hang on, the things I need to do. I'll put up a poll asking whether you want a weapon tier specifically for Nexus and True Ending next week, or if we should just get into ship request. And then I'll make a Google Docs for this tier list over the weekend. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's it for me. Yes, I will have a nice night. It's gonna be night for me. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week then, or in the poll, whichever one.